What's going on, troopers? Welcome to the Trooper Transmission. Today we got my man Phil Vandegenst coming here to talk all things Fit Nerd Academy and his experience. And so, Phil, thank you for taking the time
Yeah.
and take us back 7, 8 months ago in terms of what was going on in your life that inspired you to reach out for coaching, man.
Yeah. So, all right. So if you go back to it's a couple of months now, right, when I first reached out and we kind of met. Essentially, I was coming off of kind of the tail end of recovery from meniscus surgery. Yeah, it was kind of a good news, bad news situation. The good news, hey, we were able to repair your meniscus. Bad news is it's like a 6 month recovery instead of like a 3 week recovery. And so I was coming off the tail end of that, where the previous 6 months had been pretty much just kind of physical therapy, not really, more focusing on things like just getting the range of motion back in my knee, getting enough strength to be able to walk, not need the crutches, not need the brace, and things like that. So, obviously, a lot of time kind of spent away from really working out, really exercising. So I hadn't really been in the gym that much. Um, and then kind of on the other kind of medical condition, my cholesterol, my last annual exam, my cholesterol was definitely not where it was supposed to be. It was much higher than I had expected and I had thought. And so that was something too that I was trying to see how, with kind of make some lifestyle changes, how I could help bring that down, kind of in a non-medicated way. Um, and so, kind of what brought me to you into the Fit Nerd Academy was, actually I had been doing a lot of yoga during my recovery. That's kind of a low impact exercise. Again, working on some of that flexibility, the range of motion, and such.
Yep. Man flow yoga,
And I
right?
Yeah, man flow yoga, yeah. And
Yep.
I had seen the post by Dean, who had like, oh, shout out to Paul. Like, yeah,
Yep.
let me go take a look. Um, and yeah, I landed on the Facebook page, tried a couple of the videos, the 501st workouts. Um, I thought I enjoyed it. Thought, okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, working out with a helmet. That's it's Star Wars, right? It's obviously that there's always something about Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I was really enjoying. Like, I will be honest. Like, I always thought myself before the knee surgery. I was exercising every day, martial arts, things like that. I thought I was somewhat, still pretty fit. Um, yeah, those first ones, very humbling.
Yeah.
It was very humbling, and that's where, like, yeah, I got the email about the coaching. Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe I could use some extra help on this.
Awesome. And that's super funny because so many people will do those videos and it's fun, it's haha, he's in a helmet, and then they're like, oh wow, this is actually hard, and then they're like, oh wait, wow, there's actually more to it than just working out, right? There's the nutrition, there's coaching, and there's all that stuff. And so we obviously had a conversation, and got started. Were there any concerns you had around it being remote? I'm a dude working out in a helmet, or were you like, you saw the testimonials, you felt good, or were you like, this guy could totally like blast off to Coruscant and take my take my money to Emperor Palpatine? Was there any of that, or did you feel
uh,
pretty good?
no, I mean, I'll be honest. I felt pretty good. Um, I obviously, I think when we met, we kind of talked about kind of where I was and what I was trying to do. Um, Kind of what I liked about the conversation too was it didn't seem. I've, like, in the past, I've seen, like, I've done, like, programs that are all just, oh, download the app, right? It's all virtual. It's all, you never really talk to anybody, and it's very, like, here's what you do, and you don't deviate from the plan. Like, just do this. But what I thought was really encouraging, um, was the fact that you also were able to kind of meet me where I am, kind of understand where I am, where I feel I can go, what I can't do. And so I thought, that, and then the whole idea of, like, there's a system behind it, right? There's the fun workouts, there's all the kind of the, can nerd out Star Wars as much as we want, but but there's a data driven scientific process behind this, right? This is not just a I'm gonna send you a workout, I'm gonna give you some macros and call it a day. So all in all, I think I've done the past, like the in person, I've done the virtual. Wasn't particularly worried about that. I think you've been able to you have been able to maintain a very like a steady presence. Like even when times when like I would be out or you would be out doing obviously having just going around and going about your life, your business and such. Right there's times when maybe we can't contact and talk, but I think you've always maintained that constant presence either through like the community, the posts, just the messages, the weekly chat. So I know you're like you're on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast, um, but in reality, that really didn't make a difference to me. You might as well have been the guy next door, yeah, that I could ping or reach out to.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad that was your experience, and obviously you saw the podcast with me and Dean, so sometimes that helps too. Like, guy does yoga with him, he does Star Wars workouts. Like, let's give it a try. Um, okay, so we got started and working together. Were there any things that were maybe perspective shifts, things you learned, or was it all stuff you knew and you felt like you just needed to be reminded? And sometimes that's all it is like, man, I need to get back to that. I forgot how important that simple X, Y, and Z is.
Yeah, I think a couple of the things that, and it's a bit of a mix. Some, some newer things and some things that I had already kind of heard and been told, and now and where just I guess my personality, some of my stubbornness, just needs to hear over and over and over again. So kind of on the so the cool things for me that were a little newer, um, nutrition wise. I think one of the most important things that I've learned from you during these past couple of months is I was always told, I've always heard from other trainers and friends and influencers and whoever, oh, get your macros, you got to get the macro, fit whatever the macros and this and that, and like it was always a very like to me it was always kind of stressful in the sense of okay, like I gotta fit everything I eat into that, but then oh well, if I eat this now this macro is going to be blown out of the water. Now how do I adjust and how do I? And it felt like I want to say like for anybody whose job is not to be a fitness influencer and whose job is not to like this is not my living right to make my macros fit. I have a life, I have kids, I have a family, I have a job. I can't spend my time doing this. um the very basic when you had told me it's like at the end of the day, here's the protein you need, and here's your calories, and that's it. Don't carbs, fat, make it work, right? But just focus on getting the protein and keeping in the calorie deficit. And I was like, that is so much simpler.
Yeah.
It's just so much easier. Like, because then some days maybe I'll have more fat than I have carbs, but I don't have to worry about every meal and trying to plan ahead the day. If I eat this for lunch, I can't have this for dinner. It takes away a lot of the stress of having to think about it. Um, which kind of from my kind of like professional experience, like I've seen in the past working with teams and coaching teams, the simpler you can make it for them, the simpler you can make it, the better the adoption.
Yeah.
If it gets too complicated, people lose interest. So to me, that was like applying that to like nutrition. To me, was really interesting. Um, I also I also really enjoyed the flexibility like around the workouts in the sense that like I've tried in the past like following the programs where it's very rigorous, very methodical. Like oh, like this day is pull, this day is push, and then it's legs, and a lot of times you see other people with these great results, but they spend an hour and a half, 2 hours in the gym, right? And like okay, again, I don't have this. I have the time for that on a daily basis. It's not necessarily like it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be that rigid. Like the number of times where I would look at the app like, okay, well, today's like, lower body. Okay. And then something pops up on my calendar, urgent meeting, something wrong at work. I have to jump. I don't have an hour. Now I only have half an hour. Okay. Well, the half hour in 30 seconds, I can go to the YouTube channel. I can find that it's not the workout I was supposed to do, but it's a lower body workout. I can still work out that area and still get it in. Like it doesn't have to be like really as complicated and strenuous as I feel like you often hear and see in other programs. Like it can be, you can get a workout in, you can still get a good workout in half an hour. And just kind of be able to substitute some of those pieces and having that readily available, like not having to think about, okay, what can I do in a half hour? I don't have to think about it. I can go to the YouTube channel. I can find like, okay, half an hour. I can get this whole workout done, but I don't have to try to figure out now how to shorten my 1 hour workout, what I should do, what I shouldn't do, which exercise should I drop. Like I have something prepackaged for me right there. And having that taking in and taking away the complexity of things just makes it so much easier to actually do.
Yeah.
Um,
It really is just
yeah,
a contingency plan for, hey, here's perfect situation, here's realistic
yeah,
situation, and for anyone watching, just knowing that you don't have to be so attached to things looking a certain way. I think that was the thing that, as you were talking, I took away where you don't have to be so attached to here's what your macros need to look like perfectly. You don't need to be so attached to what your workout should look like perfectly. You can get 80, 90% of the result, but also reduce 80% of the stress by just focusing on like the main components. And for, majority of people, that's hitting your protein within your calorie target, that's hitting muscle groups. And it's not the end of the world if you have to do a 30-minute workout instead of an hour workout. And to your point, we got kids, we got jobs, we got families. I am lucky in that I'm a full-time fitness person, but I'm also, in a way, I would look at it as blessed now having a kid and having a business. Man, like it doesn't make sense to be in the gym 2 hours a day. I can't do that anymore. And it's nice being able to, I don't know, just like lower the stakes. Like, hey, you don't have to be in the gym for 2 hours a day. For anyone watching, like you do
right,
not have to, I promise. Especially from
yeah.
a fat loss standpoint. So for
um,
you then, over the last, 4 or 5 months, what have been some of the biggest wins you've had? And whether that's numerical, whether that is qualitative, that you would say have been like big wins for you?
Yep. So, I mean, the biggest kind of objective, measurable win is my cholesterol. My latest panel, I am well within healthy ranges again. Um, just something that I hadn't been for a while. So that's obviously really
That's
good
awesome.
news. Yeah, that was like I was kind of dreading my annual and seeing the results. I was definitely that felt very that felt like a big win and just like a weight off the shoulder. So that was probably the most important one for me. Um, More qualitative. Um, I think I had mentioned in one of our coaching calls a couple of weeks ago. Like one of the so like my last call maybe a month or two ago with the surgeon for like last follow up for my knee. It's like, oh yeah, now you can kind of start, no restrictions. You can kind of go back to level normals of activity, and I had been very hesitant to start running again. I have a dog. She's pretty young, pretty active, likes to run every now and then. Um, and I always felt very timid and not very sure about kind of running. I didn't want to hurt the knee, not necessarily feeling that I didn't have the strength yet to really do it without, being very confident about it. Um, so now I'm back to pretty much almost every day, a good 20-30 minute jog with the dog.
Nice.
Knees holding up well. So obviously you got the stability is there, being able to get the strength back in, in the legs, the joints, to get the range of motion. So just something as simple as that. Like I was, and I say it's a little bit more qualitative. Like I can't really measure. It's just one of those things where, like to me, it's because of where I was after the surgery. You know, I I think one of the bigger wins too is again kind of this the sense of confidence. Like instead of working out at home, joined the gym again. So like I don't necessarily feel ashamed to go to the gym or shy going to the gym. Like like, oh, well, what are you going to think if I'm only like squatting like 25 pounds, 30 pounds? Feeling more confident to squat a little deeper, to squat a little heavier again, to be able to to go on the rower, all out for 15, 20 minutes, to be able to do a deadlift and some of the exercises that are on the workouts. Like that, just that confidence that I could do it again,
Yeah.
um, is for me a big one, because it was kind of like I was kind of like that, kind of like the down, like the trough after the surgery. Like, I'm not quite sure what I can do. Not wanting to do much more than yoga, just to be on the safe side, and just having that confidence again of being able to go back to the gym, be able to lift, be able to be more active. I think is a big win, and it's more qualitative. I can't really measure it,
Yeah.
um, but yeah,
But I often say a lot of times people throw around arbitrary goals of, what they want to weigh or how much they want to lose, but at the end of the day, it's a feeling and it's a confidence and a certainty of my body can do X, or I can, be at peace in my skin, and that's where people are chasing, right? It's not a destination, it's a feeling. And I'm glad you brought that up because it really is just a feeling of, hey, I can handle whatever's thrown at me, running with the dog, lifting weights, squatting down. And it's that certainty that I think is massive. And yeah, you can't put a number on it, but it in
mm,
a way is binary. You're like, yeah, I feel certain and you didn't feel certain previously. So
mm,
that's awesome.
yep,
Three
yep.
keys to success. You got a younger brother or you're talking to a younger version of yourself. What would you say? Like, hey, man, focus on these three things. These are the biggest needle movers. If you do that, you'll be successful.
That's a tough one. Um, I think the biggest thing the biggest one for me is I think one of my biggest takeaways from this program too is like don't overcomplicate it. Um, like there's some fundamentals to have. There's some things you need to know, things to put in place. Like like we're talking about nutrition, like calories and protein targets. Be active. You don't have to spend 2 hours in the gym. Do what you like. Meet yourself where you are, right? And kind of and do what you can, plus that extra 5, 10, 15% to push yourself, right?
Mhm.
Just so you're not, because you don't want to stay in don't just stay in your comfort zone, right? If you want to grow, you have to get out of that comfort zone. So I think it's a like don't try to overcomplicate it. Don't necessarily fall for all of the if you work out 6 days a week and this and that, oh, yeah, you'll look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe not. Yeah. So I think that's the bigger one. One thing that I think I will admit I have not I did not take as much advantage of as I should have in the past couple of months, um, is the community. Um, you're you're not in it alone. You may feel like, oh, I feel, especially if I think of myself back as a scrawny 18-year-old pushing barely 160 pounds, soaking wet, fully clothed. Like you're not you're not you're not by yourself. You're not the only one in your situation. There's others like you. There's others in different situations that are chasing the same goals as you. Like, take ben, use the community. Like, be part of it and learn from the community. Um, which for me is something that is does not. I'm a very, how can I put this? Not the most socially active person. Like
Yeah.
I tend to be more, a little bit more. I'm more of a long time member, first time poster type person.
Yeah, you're
Um, lurker.
the snow leopard. You're the snow. I like the snow leopard, right? Like you hunt alone, like you're really good at what you do, but you're not like roaming around with the
Yeah,
pack of lions or the pride.
yeah,
Yeah, pride of lions.
right. Yeah, but I think that's something that I. But then, like I do, like when you look at the community, how active it is, and how everybody is, like everybody's pushing each other, everybody's encouraging each other. There's not a bad comment. There's nobody mocking you. There's nobody. It's all very positive, all very pushing, all very engaging. Um, yeah, if I could go back 20 years and kind of force myself to kind of open myself more to that, definitely something I would say is a big success. Is
Yeah,
also just not going it by yourself.
yeah, dude,
Um,
I like that.
and then a third one, geez, I think the yeah, I think the third one, especially maybe to for a younger me, we all have different goals. I know we talked about this in our initial coaching calls. Like, oh, what are you really looking for? Right? Is it longevity? Is it strength? Is it aesthetics? Um, Personally, I feel like agent, like, a younger me would have said, "Oh, aesthetics all the way, aesthetics all the way." Like, yeah, I want to look good, I want to all those things, right? Um, Kind of having gone through the surgery and kind of realizing like how much of a drain it can be on those around you to like, sorry, like I can't drive myself now because hey, my right leg is in a brace. I can't drive. I can't. I just things I just can't do anymore. Like now, very dependent on everybody around you to help you for like the stupidest things. Um, don't don't worry about the aesthetics. It's the longevity, just being able to have a strong body, be able to age gracefully. The the confidence will come through that more so than just the pure aesthetics.
Yeah.
I think the aesthetics will come, but the real confidence will come from the strength and the the longevity that you get from your exercise and your kind of your activity routine such.
Yep. I like to say, function over fashion. That's my approach with style. If I'm wearing cargo shorts, what drives my wife crazy. But I also find that also from a health and fitness standpoint, right? It's like if you look great, but you can't touch your toes and your blood work's terrible, what's the point? I would much rather be able to use my meat wagon in whatever way that I want to. And if I have a little extra fat, that's okay. Right.
So,
The aesthetics I find
so
a lot of times take care of yourself when you're focused on optimal performance and longevity anyway.
yeah, and actually that would be that might be a 3B is don't I waited way too long to start looking into yoga and focusing on flexibility. Don't wait that long. Keep
I
that in
like that.
mind.
I like that. Awesome. Well, Phil, thank you so much for the time, the
Yeah,
wisdom,
thank
the
you.
work you put in. Super pumped to have got to work with you and know you. You're an awesome dude and excited to see what's in store for you, man.
Yeah, thank you for all your help, and yeah, I really appreciate all the yeah, all your support and encouragement. I know I didn't always make it easy, so definitely appreciate you sticking
All
it out
good.
with me.
All good. Happy to do it, man.